Hey guys, welcome to the Tobacco 10 Book Club. My name's Jordan, I'm your host, and this is the first book review, first book read through that I'm going to do on this channel. It's actually going to be the first video that I post on this channel. The Tobacco 10 is all about books, tobacco, pipes, and Christianity. And I want to go through as my first book, Master and Commander by Patrick O'Brian. This is a book I've been wanting to read for a long time, and I just haven't done it yet. I'm somebody who loves to sit down with a pipe and read through a historical fiction book or a nautical fiction book, and those are really the kind of books that I enjoy the most. But I do love all kinds of books, so if there's a book that you want me to go through, let me know in the comments. But this is going to be Master and Commander, a review or a talk through of chapter 1. I really enjoyed it. It was very interesting. I think what stuck out to me the most was the friendship between Jack Aubrey and Stephen Maturin. At first they don't begin as friends, and I think that happens for men a lot. But they begin, the story begins, in a concert or a classical music concert, and Jack is this big, huge sailor who barely fits in the seat, and Stephen is sitting next to him, and Jack is, beating to the measure one beat ahead, and he's so excited about this music, and he leans over and he's wanting to talk about it with Stephen, and he's not about it at all. He gets mad and he's like, I implore you to, if you're gonna beat the measure, beat it in time. And this makes Jack kind of mad, and it's funny because they're both kind of rude and kind of just off-putting towards each other, but they both are at really low points in their lives, is kind of the gist that I'm getting from it. Especially Jack, he gets mad at the guy, but then you realize right away that this anger is coming from somewhere else. It's coming from the fact that he has been a lieutenant for so long, and he hasn't moved up in the ranks. He feels like he should be, a captain by now, or he feels like he should have gotten his own, his own ship and his own command, and nothing's going right for him, and it's making him have this ugly outlook on life. But the differences between these two guys is pretty awesome to see. You have somebody like Jack, who's this big sailor. He just knows sailing. He knows being in the Navy, being part of the British Navy, and that's his life. That's what he does. And then you have somebody like Stephen, who is a little bit more city, a little bit more educated or sophisticated, it seems. He loves birds. He loves probably science. He has an ear for music and for language. Jack loves music too, but he kind of says that it's not his, it's not his specialty, but he does love it. So that, special moments in the chapter that I really liked was that first argument. I think men a lot of times begin as competitive people towards each other. Sometimes friends start from competition, friendly competition, or even not. And men are the way that, they can argue or have a fight, and immediately after, all the beef is squashed. That's it. Now we can be friends. We've already gotten over the issue, and now we can do that. But that doesn't happen on the first night. They argue and kind of spit back and forth throughout the entire concert, and at the very end, they say, well, I'm here, and you can find me here. And it's kind of like, what, if you're still mad, we can handle this tomorrow. We can handle this business. You know where to find me now. And I think this comes more from the fact that they're just so unhappy. They're looking for some way to project that onto each other, but really they're not mad at each other as much as they think that they are. But then Jack goes back to his place that he's staying, and he realizes he's going to become a captain, or captain of the ship. And he's going to get, new orders, and he's going to get a crew under him to do things with, and that changes his whole outlook. Now he's so happy he can't even hold it all in. He's just happy with the lady who serves him. He's happy with all the people that he sees, and the next day he sees Stephen, and he says, "Forgive me for last night. Forgive me for how rude I was. I was just in a bad mood." And then immediately he can't even hold it in. He has to tell him, "I just received a new command. I just moved up in the ranks." And Steven is also graceful, and he's so happy for him. And they go and they sit down and they have some coffee, and they spend like breakfast together. And this second meeting, the friendship begins to start, or at least they begin to look at each other as people who they can share interests with. And they start with things like music, and one plays the violin and one plays the cello, and they start to appreciate each other. And all of a sudden, now that Jack's life is looking better, now he wants to be friends with Steven, and now he's not so angry. One of the funny things of this encounter that I thought was pretty hilarious was when Steven saw this bird, and he's saying, look, the bird's right there. And he's just a civilian, he's just pointing at the bird. And Jack, being in the Navy, he's like, where? Like, he wants directions. He wants sea directions. He wants somebody to be able to tell him exactly where it is. And it's just funny the way that they are so different, but they're both interested in each other's likes and dislikes. And it was a funny moment for me, and it's pretty cool to see this friendship that's going to be 20 books long. I know that, at least. I haven't read about it, but I've seen the movie and I know what the books are about. But to see it starting is pretty cool. And then Jack has to go, and he goes to Commandant Hart, and this captain doesn't really like him. And Jack is in a monologue. He's saying, I don't really know why he doesn't like me. Maybe it's because I'm moving up quickly in the ranks, or maybe it's because I'm friends with his wife. But we don't really know. But we do find out that Commandant Hart, Captain Hart, has made it so that this letter to Jack arrived late. And he's saying, well, it wasn't me. It must have been the people who, you're staying with. But it really was him. He made sure that the letter came late, just to make things tougher on Jack. And then he tells him, your whole crew is gone. Your whole crew left on another ship. So now you're a captain of nothing, basically. Which we find out isn't true, but it's just, it's something that takes Jack from being super, super high on life to being brought, just a peg down. And I was pretty annoyed with this guy. I didn't like him at all. But I thought it was really funny at the end of that conversation. Captain Hart's all smug, and he's feeling like he won the dialogue. And then Jack goes, well, is your wife here? Let me go talk to your wife. And I felt like that was really silly and pretty funny. Like, I don't see that. I don't think it was a dig, but it kind of seemed like a dig. I know for me, if that happened to me, I'd be like, okay, jerk. But then he goes to see the wife, and then he goes to see one of his lieutenants, and the lieutenant tells him, no, not everything's gone, not everybody's gone. He starts giving him the gossip of people on the ship and telling him the way of the things that are, his crew. He's telling him about his crew and who he's going to meet. And before that, he goes to see his agent, or to see somebody who works with his agent. And he ends up getting a young boy put on his crew. And these are all things that are going on, and things that the first chapter is about. And it's basically Jack gets his assignment as captain, and he's getting ready to go on his first voyage as captain. Towards the end of the chapter, he goes to take stock of his ship and his crew, and to inspect it all. And the inspection goes well. He's seeing that his crew is a little more old-fashioned than other crews that he's been on, and he sees that his ship is, he loves it from first sight. Obviously, it's his first ship that he's in charge of, or at least that he's captain of, like, full-time. And he's in love with it. He knows it's not the fastest or the newest, but it's his. And so he's so excited to be on his first voyage, and he's inspecting the entire ship and the crew, and everybody did their best to be in their nicest outfit. Everything's ship shape. He sees a few things that he decides to overlook, because he remembers what it's like to be on a crew, and he remembers what it's like to be rushing around to make everything ship shape for the captain. So he overlooks some things, But ultimately, he's very happy with what he saw. But for some reason, he feels kind of sad, and he's a little underwhelmed at how he feels. And once he's going back to his hotel room or whatever it is, his lodgings, he realizes the thing that's making him melancholy, or the thing that's bringing him down a little bit, is the fact that everybody treated him different. Nobody treated him like one of the crew, one of the guys. And the respect that he got as a captain was even different than what he used to get as a lieutenant or even a first lieutenant. And so he realizes now for the first time that his voyage is going to be different than anything he's ever been on, because the people don't see him as one of the crew or one of the sailors. They see him as, Captain Jack Aubrey. And so this is just a realization for him that is bittersweet, because he's so happy to be a captain. He's so happy to have moved up in the ranks and finally get some of the recognition that he thinks he deserves. But at the same time, he knows it's never going to be the same on the ship for him. And that was one of the things in the beginning of the chapter 2, is he was supposed to be captain, and people kept, jerking him around and telling him, oh yeah, we're going to do it. And then, for some reason it didn't happen. And, oh, we're going to take care of you in the future, but they don't actually give him a set time or place. And, so everything begins to look up for Jack. And we don't know too much about Stephen yet, but I'm excited to learn about him. I'm excited to jump into chapter 2. And I'm excited for this voyage that Jack Aubrey is going to go on as captain. I love sea time and like British Navy war historical fiction. So I know this book is right up my alley. I love the movie. So if you want to see a review on the movie, that's something that we could do too. But that's about all the notes I have for chapter 1. I did really, really like it, and I'm excited to continue. But like I said, if you want to see another book, let me know, and we can do another book club. But if you want to be on the show and talk about a certain chapter, I'd love to have you on the show. Make sure you like and subscribe so that you can continue to read through this book with me. If this is one of your books that you really enjoy, I'd love for you to read through it with me and leave comments on what you think and send messages and so on. But that's it for today, you guys. This is the Tobacco Tin Book Club, and I'm so excited to have you guys. And I'll see you guys for chapter 2. Thank you.